and welcome to Easy Gluten Free. Today I'll be showing our friends at favediets.com how to make these delicious butter cookies. The original recipe was passed down from my grandmother to my mother, and now I've needed to make a few adjustments to make them gluten free. With one simple 5-ingredient dough, I'm going to show you a variety of ways to shape and decorate these cookies so it'll look like you've been baking for days. And while these are by no means a diet food, I've found that having just a few can be a good choice when compared to eating a full-size dessert. Now, to make these delicious cookies, we'll need 1 cup of softened butter, that's 2 sticks, 2 3/4 cups of gluten-free all-purpose flour. I have a brand manufactured by Glutino, 3/4 cup of sugar, 1 egg, and 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. Now first we're going to beat together the butter and sugar until it's smooth and creamy. During the mixing process, it's a good idea to have a rubber spatula handy to scrape down the sides of the bowl. Next we'll beat in the eggs and vanilla until everything looks well incorporated. Then mix in the flour until the mixture forms into a ball of dough. You might need to scrape it off the sides of the bowl and transfer it into a smaller bowl before covering it with plastic wrap and putting it in the fridge for about 30 minutes. The first cookies we're going to make will be done in a cookie press, so you don't want to over chill it because it might not come out of the press as easily. Once you've pressed the cookies onto a baking sheet, sprinkle them with colored sugar and bake in a preheated 350-degree oven for 8 to 10 minutes. Now for these trees, I not only used colored sugar, I also used a few scattered sprinkles to give them the appearance of Christmas balls. Now for the next type of cookie, we're going to roll out some dough between 2 sheets of plastic wrap. I like to do this on top of a cutting board or baking sheet for easier transfer later. We're going for about 1/8 to 1/4 inch thickness here. If the edges get too fringy looking as you're rolling them out, at any point you can remove the top sheet of plastic wrap, fold over the fringy edge, smooth it out with your palms, and then move on to the next edge if you want. Finish off by reapplying the top sheet of plastic before rolling it out smooth. Then transfer the plastic covered sheet of dough to the fridge for about 30 minutes to chill and firm up. Now you can remove the top sheet of plastic wrap and use your favorite cookie cutters to cut out the shapes. At this point you could slide your hand under the plastic wrap if you find it helpful in transferring the cookies more easily to the sheet pan. Once you have them all on the sheet pan, sprinkle them with colored sugar and bake them for 8 to 12 minutes. Later, when you're finished baking all the cookies, you can fill in the details with a do-it-yourself Ziploc pastry bag and a thick glaze made with powdered sugar and a few drops of water or milk. Now after you're all done with your cut cookies, you'll likely have a bowl of scraps. Roll some of the dough scraps into balls about 3/4 inch in diameter. Then use your knuckle to depress their centers and fill them with jam and nuts. The rest of the dough can be shaped into small logs about 2 inches in length. Now these little logs, once they're baked and cooled, will be dipped into melted chocolate, then dusted with ground nuts or sprinkles. Now both these jelly cookies and the logs will bake for 12 to 14 minutes, so they can go in the oven together. But as a general rule, you can't bake different sized cookies together since they won't be done at the same time. Now I'd say this batch of cookies is done, although some still do need to dry and set before they're ready for the cookie tray. Oh, and if you're not following a gluten-free diet and want to use regular flour in this recipe, decrease the amount to 2.5 cups instead of 2 3/4. Oh, and in case you're wondering, I'd say that the cookies done with the cookie cutter and the chocolate dipped ones were a little more difficult to work with than the others, since they required a secondary decoration on an already fragile cookie. But don't let that stop you from having fun and giving them all a try. And if you'd like to see this recipe in print, you could always visit my blog. And for more free, healthy recipes and tips for virtually any diet, visit my friends at favediets.com. See you again soon.